Hi, it's Lucy here, and today I want to share how I take my photos of my handmade cards. So, here's some tips on how to use your camera in your phone. You don't need a professional camera for this. I feel the photo of your card is quite important to show at its best, as sometimes if the photo is dark or blurry, it can be the loveliest card in the world, but it may not get noticed. So first off, I bought a cheap light box on eBay. It plugs into a wall socket like any other electrical item. There's no on-off switch on this one, so once you turn it on at the wall, it automatically lights up. I always have some items as I like to photograph my cards in my style, so I generally always use my muslin, lace and flowers as I feel this really softens the photos for female cards. I also have this spare container I use, so if I want to photograph from above, it sits above the background, which makes it easier for the camera to distinguish the difference between the card and the background. Usually I'll have the card standing though, so I always have some tape handy to tape my papers to the wall of the light box. Wherever possible, I like to use a 12 by 12 paper from the same kit or paper pad for my background. If I use a 6 by 6 paper pad, I'll look for a complementing sheet from any other papers that I have in my stash for a background. You could always use the same background to create your own style, say a geometric pattern or a brick wall or wooden prints, for example. When taping the paper to the background, I'm very careful to do it lightly. It often falls down, but I prefer that to the tape peeling off some of the paper when it comes to taking it down. If I can put the paper on upside down, so the throwaway strip is up the top, that's perfect as I don't have to worry then. But in this case, it needs to sit this way around. So once the papers are in place, I'll add the muslin. I don't want it fully covering the bottom paper, but I do want the card to sit on it fully. I'll add the lace and I can adjust that once the card is in there. I'll also add some flowers and then we can get started on the photo. You'll have to excuse me on creating this as it's a lot more difficult to make this background when I'm trying to stay out of the camera focus. I'm going to show you a few tricks and tips for editing, all very easy, and once you know and use it, it's second nature to edit it. So firstly, we need to open up the camera app as you would normally to take a photo. If you'd like to create a quick and easy photo straight off, you can choose the vibrant filter. There's quite a few filters to choose from, and I will show you this in more detail when I show all my video tricks with the camera shortly. But for now, the main thing you need to do is set the camera to portrait mode. Where you see photo, video choices along the bottom of the screen, choose portrait mode. This mode creates a shallow depth of field effect with a focused subject whilst blurring the background. It's a beautiful way to photograph a person. If you haven't tried this, you may love it. Okay, so back to the card, you can choose different lighting effects to portraits such as studio light, contour light and stage light. And as you can see on my phone, it tells you if you're too close or too far away for the blur to work. So keep moving around back and forth until you get the desired background blur. You can change this later as well to make it more blurred or less, and I'll show that once I've created the photo. Before I edit the photo, I just want to show a couple more tips that will help you use your camera on your phone for card making and in general really. You'll see I have a grid on my camera which helps to align my card in the center. You can add the grid lines by going into settings on your phone. Scroll down to find your camera, then scroll again to find grid. Click to turn it on, and every time you open your camera it will be there, and you can turn it off the same way. The next thing that you may not know about is when taking the photo, if it appears dark, you can touch the screen and you'll see a little sun icon appear. Swipe up a little bit and it'll get lighter. If you swipe down, it will get darker. Now to work on the photo I've just taken. As you can see, it's a 4 by 3 portrait sized photo. I want to create the photo for social media, which is usually square. The first thing I do is crop it to a square so I'm only seeing what will be in the actual photo. So press the edit button and click the crop button here. In the top corner, there is an icon here which will allow you to crop to any size easily rather than trying to crop it manually. You can choose square like I'll be doing, but there is also other options available too, and including landscape. So now we'll press done, and then we can decide if it needs other photo adjustments. This first one will rotate it, so you can choose which direction it goes in. I'll often use this if I'm using a photo from above. The next button brings the top and bottom closer, so if you find your card has been photographed wonky, this really helps to straighten it up. And the same with the next button, it brings the sides closer in on one side or the other so that you can straighten it up that way as well. When you've taken a photo in portrait mode, you'll have extra editing items available. We'll see a new button up the top here with a weird F, and you can click on that to adjust the blurriness of the photo by swiping along the scale like this. And here's where you can change the lighting, and you can choose between different lighting effects such as studio light, contour light, and stage light. I'll change mine to studio light, but stage light is pretty funky, isn't it? It's like a spotlight. Next, it's best we go into the filters to see if that solves our problem in one go. Here you see the original photo, and then it has some other options. I only ever use the vivid filter as the others are a bit much, although it does have black and white and others that can be useful. The vivid filter can also be too bright, but you can make manual adjustments in the next section, which I'll show you how to do very easily. So now onto the adjustments, which is basically the color section, and you can click auto, which automatically makes changes to your photo. I usually do this and then adjust if needed, but if it gets it horribly wrong, I just click it again and it cancels it. To manually adjust, the first one is exposure, and it adjusts the overall brightness of the photo. To really see what each setting does, I recommend sliding from one extreme to the other. Next is brilliance, and it basically adjusts the exposure and contrast together to make the photo look more vibrant and detailed. Highlights controls the brightness of the brightest areas in the photo, and I don't usually use this. Shadows adjust the brightness of the darkest areas, and again, I don't usually use this. Contrast modifies the difference between light and dark areas. I use this a lot, although I only adjust it slightly. Sometimes I want more definition in my photos, and other times I want less, which gives it a soft romantic feel. Brightness adjusts the overall lightness or darkness of the overall image. I often use this to lighten my images slightly. Black point I don't use. It apparently sets the level of the darkest blacks in the photo, so it might be great if you've got black cardstock on your cards. Saturation alters the intensity or vividness of the colours in the photo, and I use this a lot in small doses to give a little extra colour. Vibrance boosts the intensity of the less saturated colours without oversaturating already vibrant colours unless you take it too far. It is very vibrant. Warmth adds a warm or cool colour tone, and I like to add warmth occasionally. I don't generally ever go cool. The tint adjusts the colour balance by shifting towards magenta or green hues, and I never use this. Sharpness starts at one end. I don't use this feature either. Definition, again, I don't use this as I find the others do most of that. Noise reduction means that it reduces the visible grain or noise in low light photos. And the vignette can be so beautiful, and I have used it on occasion but not generally when photographing my cards. This effect darkens or lightens the edges of an image, creating a gradual fade towards the center. This can be perfect for a more dramatic or vintage look. So now you know where to find these adjustments and what they do. You can play around with your settings. I'm sure like me, you'll like some features more than others, so tend to just use them. I should also mention I'm using an iPhone today, but I think most icons are similar even if you're using another type of phone. I tend to create mail card backgrounds, more simplified and just with some paper, maybe some string and masculine items. If you're blurring the backgrounds, it makes it a lot easier to find items that suit as well. So has this helped with your photography? Please let me know in the comments if it did, and if you'd like to see more videos like this. I did an interior decoration course and we did photography as a subject. I felt like it really helped me elevate my photography for my card making, and so I thought I'd share my knowledge. I don't like to spend hours creating the photos as I love to concentrate my time on making the cards. So this is just a quick way of making your cards stand out with your photos. I'd so appreciate you giving me a thumbs up if you liked this video. It really helps YouTube know it's a good video. If you'd like to see more of my videos, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to click the notifications bell if you want to be notified when I upload my next video. So I hope this helps you to create your own style, and happy crafting. Bye for now.